Jack Smith, who's leading the election interference case against Donald Trump, has asked the judge to place Trump under a gag order which will limit how he's able to publicly talk about the case. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think it's a question of how would other defendants be treated. You asked me on the programme last time about the judge who'd made derogatory comments about Donald Trump or hinted at derogatory, and I said she should be withdrawn from the case. So I was being extremely fair, and I'm going to be fair again. No defendant would get away with attacking prosecutors, right, and judges and the judicial process like Donald Trump has got away with. Absolutely nobody. And threatening people, yeah? Absolutely no defendant would get away with that in any other case. So this decision to seek restraining what he can say and constraining what he say is entirely appropriate in my opinion. I mean, he's threatened the prosecutors. He has attacked constantly them and attacked some of them in terms of their personal life totally inaccurately and inappropriately, by the way. It's totally out of order. No other criminal defendant. In fact, most of the criminal defendants would be threatened with being slung in jail in advance of the trial if they made such statements about prosecutors and judges. That's what would happen to any other defendant. So gagging him from commenting about the case and attacking those who are operating the criminal justice system is absolutely correct. In the same way as I said to you last week, the judge who made biased comments against Donald Trump has no right to hear that case. The same applies to this decision, in my opinion.
I mean, when I was last on and I said to you, you know, the more they sort of do this and throw this at him, he loves it. And actually, if he is, you know, they're calling for him to be gagged and not talk about the case, this is fuel to his fire.
They're not talking about him not. They're saying there's certain things he cannot say.
Even in that case, though, it doesn't really matter. The extreme of if it's only just.
Do you not think, as Ivan said, they need to treat each case fairly and what he said?
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything you've said there. Actually, but what I'm saying is, from a Donald Trump point of view, he will like this because he will just say it's a way of them stopping me. It's my first. He'll say it's the First Amendment, and he'll say, look, this is what the establishment is doing to me. I don't disagree with what you're saying in that actually, any other defendant, you treat them all the same, but he will be emboldened by this and use that to fuel his base and say that actually this is what they're trying to do.
Okay, I get that. I agree with you. But what this fueling of the base are not the independent voters who will determine the next presidential election in the United States. No. Every time you and people like you talk about him fueling his base, right, you are implying that his incitement, right, his inappropriate behaviour is acceptable, is legitimate. Well, it isn't, okay? Some of the things he's been charged with are trivial nonsense, in my opinion, right? But the incitement to riot in the Congress, the attempt to put pressure on that governor to find votes, completely out of order, right? Now, whether it's he should be sent to prison, I'm not sure that's in America's interest, okay. But he certainly should be on trial for the incitement to riot in the Congress and for trying to apply inappropriate pressure to corruptly find votes, right? Totally out of order. Now, he's firing up his base, but his base won't determine the result. His base will determine who the Republican nominee is for President of the United States, right? That is not the same as who will go on to be President of the United States, okay? And if the Republican Party had any guts, they would take him on and say he's not a fit and proper person to be our candidate. And then none of them have got any guts.
And that's what I said before, though. I said, when I was on this programme before, I said that, what most presidents do when they're in their first term is they try and build a coalition of other voters that didn't necessarily vote for them the first time to give them that support to get over the line the second time. But what he went into that election doing was thought, actually, if I can just turn out more people like me who are like my base, then I can get over the line. And he didn't, and that's why he lost.
Sure.
But what he's failing to do is understand the exact point you're making is that actually that's not going to attract those independent voters that are still a bit unsure at the moment. And so I don't think, I think he can win, but I don't think he will win. And I think a lot will still depend on Joe Biden. I mean, he might win the nomination, but whether he's still actually the nominee come the election, I don't know, because his health seems to be deteriorating at a rapid speed. But I just think the Republicans are making a very strange decision. I mean, I watched the first debate,
sure.
and there are capable people on that stage. Nikki Haley, for example.
Absolutely.
If the ruling party had any sense, they would just all drop out, rally around one person, at least give them a fighting chance against Trump. But I think he enjoys the whole theatre, the whole charade of everything that's going on at the moment, and unfortunately, he's just going to play into that. Whether it's right or wrong, like I say, you probably will win the nomination based on that. But the presidency.
I suppose we also need to ask you, Ellie. You've not told the listeners what are the limits that Jack Smith is proposing to place on it. Do you know the answer to that?
I can find it. Let me see.
Because I think it's important we understand. I mean, what is he saying he should not be allowed to say? I guess we need to understand that.
As far as I know, it's threatening witnesses and that sort of thing.
Well, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Prevent harassment of witnesses.
Right. Well, I think in this case, Mr. Smith has every right to do that. Has this been ruled on yet by a judge?
No, not as far as I know.